full spectrum of Pakistan-US relations and discussed global and regional situation. The two sides expressed satisfaction over the ongoing bilateral engagement in the areas of trade and investment, climate, energy, health and education, and underlined the need to further reinforce cooperation through dialogue and decisions at a higher level. You would have noticed the Foreign Minister also had interactions with Congressman Amy Bera, Representative Adam Smith, Senator Lindsey Graham, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson, the chairperson of the US Congressional Pakistan Caucus. Ladies and gentlemen, the government and people of Pakistan received with a deep sense of sadness and grief the news of the passing away of His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the UAE. Earlier this week, the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister undertook separate visits to the UAE to offer condolences to the newly elected President of the UAE, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and to the Al Nahyan family and the leadership and people of the UAE. In solidarity with the brotherly people of UAE, the Government of Pakistan announced 3 days national mourning from 13th to 15th of May with the national flag flying at half-mast, both in Pakistan and across all our missions abroad. On 16th May, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and His Excellency Li Keqiang, Premier of the State Council of People's Republic of China, held a comprehensive telephonic conversation. The Prime Minister offered his condolences to the government and people of China and expressed sympathies with the families of victims of the heinous terrorist attack that took place at the Karachi University on 26th April, in which 3 Chinese scholars lost their lives. The Prime Minister affirmed that Pakistan was committed to providing highest level of safety and security of all Chinese nationals and institutions working in Pakistan. The two premiers also discussed bilateral matters of mutual importance. Prime Minister Sharif affirmed his government's firm resolve to fast-track both the ongoing as well as the new projects under CPEC. Premier Li assured Prime Minister Sharif of China's readiness to enhance economic cooperation, expand trade and encourage greater investment from China to Pakistan. Yesterday, a delegation led by Mr. Chang Qiuping, China's External Security Commissioner, called on the Prime Minister. On 12th May, Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari held a telephone conversation with the OIC Secretary General, Mr. Hussain Brahim Taha, to apprise him of the latest situation in IIOJK in the wake of the report of the Delimitation Commission. Dismissing the report as another outrageous attempt by India at political gerrymandering, the Foreign Minister said that by redrawing electoral boundaries blatantly favoring the Hindu-dominated constituencies, the so-called Delimitation Commission has validated the worst fears of the Kashmiri people that the BJP government in India sought to disempower and disenfranchise them by altering the demographic structure of IIOJK with a view to converting the Muslim majority into a minority. In this regard, Pakistan appreciates the strong condemnation by the Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission of OIC on 12th May and the deep concern raised by the General Secretariat of the OIC in its statement of 16th May on the Indian government's illegal exercise to redraw and delimit the electoral constituencies in IIOJK. The General Secretariat and the IPHRC termed it direct contravention and in violation of numerous OIC and UN Security Council resolutions as well as international human rights and humanitarian laws. Reaffirming the long-standing and principled position of the OIC on Jammu and Kashmir dispute, they also urged the international community particularly the UN Security Council, to take immediate cognizance of the grave implications of such delimitation exercise. On 12th May, speaking at the second Global COVID-19 Summit, Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari underscored that an approach to deal with the pandemic must be grounded firmly in scientific evidence and logic. He emphasized that international cooperation and coordination were of fundamental importance to the success of efforts to tackle the pandemic. On 14th May, a solemn memorial service was held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to honor the lives and services of the victims of terrorist attack in Karachi University on 26th April. The memorial service was attended by the Foreign Minister, the Chargé d'Affaires of the People's Republic of China in Islamabad, senior Chinese officials, and Chinese nationals from all walks of life. Foreign Secretary Suhail Mahmood and officers of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also attended the ceremony. On 12th May, US Chargé d'Affaires paid farewell call on the Foreign Minister. The Foreign Minister appreciated her services to promote Pakistan-US ties and wished her well in her future endeavors. On 13th May, the Swiss ambassador called on the Foreign Minister to congratulate him on assumption of office. The Foreign Minister applauded the ambassador for his efforts to deepen mutually beneficial bilateral relations. Minister of State Hina Rabbani Kar received EU Special Envoy for Afghanistan on 13th of May. They shared perspectives and concerns on the latest situation in Afghanistan and emphasized the importance of international coordination to strengthen stability in Afghanistan. MOS Kar also visited the Embassy of Palestine on 17th May for condolences over the killing of Shirin Abu Akleh, the Palestinian journalist. On 17th May, coinciding with the Visak, the exhibition of artifacts, replicas, and photographs was organized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to showcase Pakistan's Buddhist cultural heritage and Gandhara civilization. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now turn to the situation in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. On 18th May, the Indian Chargé d'Affaires was called to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and handed over a démarche conveying Pakistan's strong condemnation on the framing of fabricated charges against Hurriyat leader Mohammad Yasin Malik, who is currently imprisoned in the infamous Tihar jail by the Indian authorities. It is highly reprehensible that Mr. Malik has been convicted yesterday in a manifestly dubious and motivated case dating back to 2017. Predictably, the one-sided case has not only convicted Mr. Malik on fictitious charges in defiance of Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, but also attempted to make conjectural insinuations about Pakistan. The renewed haste with which cases against Kashmiri leadership are being pursued further exposes the nefarious Indian designs to undermine historic and distinct political and cultural identity of IOJK. The conviction of Mr. Yasin Malik and conjuring up of motivated cases against the Kashmiri leadership is patently the continuation of the malicious Indian campaign to deprive the Kashmiris of their true leadership. But the draconian strong-arm tactics of the Indian occupation can never dampen the spirit of the indigenous Kashmiri struggle for the right to self-determination. It is a matter of grave concern that India, as a serial violator of human rights and usurper of fundamental freedoms of the Kashmiris, continues to commit widespread and gross human rights violations in IIOJK with impunity. During the week, 3 more Kashmiris were martyred during so-called cordon search operations. Such gruesome acts are well documented by the UN and international human rights organizations. And on various occasions, including September last year, Pakistan has also presented to the UN and the international community evidence of war crimes and crimes against humanity being perpetrated by the Indian occupation forces in IIOJK. We strongly urge the members of the international community to hold India to account for its atrocities in IIOJK and to play their due role in enabling the Kashmiris to exercise the right to self-determination as pledged to them by the various Security Council resolutions. Before closing, I would just like to note you would have seen our press release regarding the forthcoming visit, the first bilateral visit by the Foreign Minister to China from 21st to 22nd of this month. With this, I would like to close and I am ready to take your questions.